Hello, my dear students. So this time, let us continue our lesson about inferential statistics. Okay. So this time, I'm going to discuss to you the statistical tool t-test for paired group. The one that I discussed last time is t-test for unpaired group. So this time, t-test for paired group. Okay. So when we say t-test for paired group, it is a dependent and correlated test. So I mean to say they are not independent. They are dependent and correlated or related from one another. Okay. It is tested for two groups only or set of scores from the same group. So I mean to say you can only use these two tests for paired group if there are two groups only. You cannot use this for three or more groups. Okay. And the set of scores came from the same group. Okay. It is applied for before and after results. So it is also applied for before and after results. Okay. So for example, if you want to test the religiosity of group of person before and after retreat, you can use this t-test. If you want to check the electric bills before and after the repair, you can use also this t-test. If you want to test the happiness of a family before and after an incident, you can use this t-test. So there is before and after results. Okay, you can use this t-test. Okay. For example, suppose a researcher wants to test the flavor acceptability of 10 panelists of pandesal bread with and without malunggay leaves extract using the hedonic scale 1 to 9 at alpha or 0.05 level of significance two-tailed test. Okay, so you can always use 0.05 level significance at 0.05 level of significance two-tailed test. Okay. So, suppose these are the scores given by the panelists. Okay, there are 10 panelists here, and these are the scores given without malunggay and with malunggay. So remember, for t-test period, there should be the same participants. There are the same participants who gave um, judge or grade 2 pandesal bread without and with malunggay. So the x sub 1 is without malunggay and the x sub 2 is the with malunggay leaves. Okay. So, okay, we have here the steps on how to solve the t-test for paired data. First, you have to give the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. For null hypothesis, there is no significant difference in the flavor acceptability of pandesal bread for with and without malunggay leaves extract. There is no question mark here. For alternative hypothesis, there is significant difference. Okay, so for null there is no, and for alternative hypothesis there is significant difference in flavor acceptability of malunggay bread with and without malunggay leaves extract. Okay, we have the rule. Okay, whether we accept or reject the hypothesis. If the computed t stat is higher than the tabulated t tab, reject the null hypothesis. So meaning to say, if the computed t stat later on is higher than the t in the table, you have to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, so that is the decision or the rule that you are going to take. Okay, for step number 2, you have to compute the mean, the difference, and the sum of squares of differences. So you have to compute these three: mean, difference, and sum squares of differences. For the mean, you have to first get the total for the pandesal without malunggay. 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals to 82. For the x sub 2, which is without malunggay leaves, we have the total is 78. So to get the mean, you get the total divided by the number of participants. So 82 divided by 80 divided by 10 equals to 8.2. For with malunggay, we have 78 divided by the number of participants is 10. So remember, these are the same participants, so the number are equal. Okay, so 78 divided by 10 equals to 7.8. So these are the means. Now, to get the difference, first you have to subtract the x sub 1 from x sub 2. 8 minus 8 equals 0. 9 minus 8 equals to 1. 8 minus 7 is 1. 7 minus 8 is negative 1 up to 9 minus 8 equals to 1. Okay, so that is the difference. Then next is you get the square of the difference. 0 times 0 equals to 0. 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 times 1 equals to 1. 1 is negative 1 times negative 1 equals to positive 1. 0 times 0 equals 0 up to 1 times 1 equals to 1. Then after that, you have to get the total. 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus negative 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals to positive 4. Then you also get the total. 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals to positive 6. So that is the sum of the squared of the difference. Okay, next is the meaning of the symbol sigma is sum of. That's why the sum of d, the sum of the d square. Okay, to get the difference, you are going to divide the sum of d from the number of participants. So the sum of d is equals to 4 divided by the number of participants is equals to 10. 4 divided by 10 equals to 0.4. So that is the difference. Now to get the SSD or sum of square of differences, the formula is the sum of d square minus the sum of d parenthesis square over n, the number of participants. So the sum of d square is equals to, we have here 6. That's why this is equal to 6. Minus the sum of d, which is equals to 4. Okay? Then squared, parenthesis square, over 10. The number of participants, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 10 participants. Okay, 6 minus 4 squared is 4 times 4 equals to 16 divided by 10. 16 divided by 10 equals to 1.6. Okay, you carry 6 here. 6 minus 1.6 equals to 4.4. So that is the sum of square of difference or SSD. Okay, so that is step number 2. For step number 3, okay, we do not have step number 3. Okay, for step number 3 or step number 4, compute the T statistics. Okay, wala tayong step number 3. Step number 4 na pala kaagad. Okay, the T stat is equals to, the formula is the D, the sum of D, over the square root of SSD over n times n minus 1. That is the T stat. Equals, saan nakuha ang D? Nakuha yan doon sa dito. Okay, 4. Or dito pala, 0.4. The sum of D. Okay, 0.4. SSD, which is 4.4. It was taken here. SSD equals to 4.4. Okay. Then, divided by, the number n is the number of participants, which is 10. 10 times 10 minus 1. Okay, always minus 1. So, you copy 0.4 in the numerator divided by 44 divided by, you multiply this one. Okay, 10 minus 1 equals to 9. 9 times 10 equals to 90. 4.4 divided by 90 equals to 0.489. Okay, you copy 0.4 in the numerator divided by 4.4 divided by 90 equals 0.0489. Okay, you get the square root of 0.0489 equals to 0.2211. Okay, you can now divide 0.4 divided by 0.2211 equals 1.809. So this is now your T stat. So yan ang T stat natin. This is the T stat for paired data. Okay? Okay, next is you are going to move to step number 5. Okay, for step number 5, find the degrees of freedom or DF at 0.05. The formula for degrees of freedom equals 9 minus 2, wherein the number of participants is 10, minus 1 equals to 9. Okay, so that is the degrees of freedom. Okay, next is step number 6. Okay, you have to compare the T stat with the T table. So, you must have a T table. T table is given here. Where does the 0.05? So, this one is 0.05. And the degrees of freedom is 9. We have here 9, 9 and 0.05. Okay, they meet at 2.2682. So this one is the 2.262. Okay, kung saan sila nag-meet yung 0.05 at saka 9 na degrees of freedom equals to 2.262. So this one is the T-table or T-tab. You are going to compare the T-stat with the T-table. Okay, so next is giving of conclusion. Okay, if the computed T-stat is higher than the tabulated T-tab, reject the null hypothesis. Remember, the computed T-stat a while ago is equals to 1.809, and the T-tab is T in the table is 2.286. So it is lower than the tabulated. So the computed T is lower than the T in the table, which is equals to 2.86. Therefore, we have to accept the null hypothesis. This means that the flavor acceptability of pandesal bread with and without malunggay are almost the same because it is lower. Okay? If the computed T is higher, then you have to reject. But since it is lower, you have to accept the null hypothesis. So meaning to say, the pandesal with and without malunggay are almost the same based on the T statistics for paired data. Okay, next is, so you can have your table. You can make like this one, similar to this one. You are going to place this one in your chapter for later on the presentation and of the results and discussion. So you need to make a table similar to this one. You have a variable one for without malunggay and with malunggay leaves extract. The means are 8.2 and 7.8. Okay, you just copy it from the computation. The observations are we have 10 participants. They are equal because it came from the same participants. They are both 10 for with malunggay and 10 for without malunggay and with malunggay, no? Kasi pareho lang naman yung participants na equals to 10. Then the hypothesis is 0. The degrees of freedom a while ago is 9. The computed T-stat is 1.809. And the T in the table is 2.286. Okay, so this is the table for T-test, paired sample for means. And then, okay, for your sit work, you are going to compute the t-test of if a researcher wants to determine if there is significant difference on the weight of 5 respondents after taking a formulated vitamin. Okay, so the participants are 5. These are the data for the before and after weight after taking the formulated vitamin for increase in the weight. Okay, so these are the data. You can now compute the t-test for paired data before and after. Okay, so any question, you can submit this one at the end of the quarter. Okay, thank you.